So, before we all came to ISKCON, we had all, because we are from India, we had all seen deities before. We should call them Murti. Right? Murti ki puja ho rahi hai. And how many of us had, like, we knew, okay, Bhagwan hai, that's why people are doing this. But how many of us had firm faith and confidence that this is God? Because a lot of weird things also are done in Hinduism. Randomly, things are poured on various different objects. Our gods have non-human faces and bodies, and various weird things are there which tend to diminish the fact that they are God. But when we came here, when we came to ISKCON, and when we read Prabhupada's books, or when we were preached to, that's when we understood that this is not a symbol of God. What is it? It is God. It is God. God is standing here with his brother and sister. It's not a symbol to divert our attention towards God. Most people in Hinduism also think that the murti is just a object to divert our attention from samsar towards God. It's not God. But here we understand this is God. It is God. And you don't need faith for this. It's a fact. This is God is a fact. And if we have faith, then we'll be able to understand this is God. We don't need faith for this to be God. Right? Our faith will not transform this into God. He is God. That is Jagannath. Whether you have faith or you don't have faith, that is Jagannath. Swayam Bhagwan. When we have faith, we'll be able to accept it. Yes, this is Jagannath. And then we're able to offer our worship. Also, what happens is many times, so today we are going to talk about deity, since obviously, special chief guest today in our Gada hall, which is Jagannath Madara Ki. So, there are some schools of thought, especially the Mayavadi schools of thought, which claim that deity worship is for neophytes. Neophyte means who's one new. If you are just new to spiritual life, deity worship is for you to gradually evolve yourself to the fact that there is no form. Once Prabhupada was asked, Swamiji, God is everywhere. So I have to worship the deity. Prabhupada replied, if God is everywhere, that means he is not in the deity or what? But you say God is everywhere except in the temple. बाकी सब जगह भगवान है तो मंदिर में भी है. So this form is also God, that people don't accept. So there's a wrong understanding that bhakti is for people who are new to Krishna, to spiritual life. And as you mature in spiritual life, then you understand that murti puja ki bhi avashyakta nahi hai. And this is directly opposed by the lives of very great acharyas, like Sripad Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya. Ramanujacharya's place, the main place is Sri Rangam. How many of you have been to Sri Rangam? Only 3 people. 4, 5, 6. Only 6 people. Sri Rangam is a very, very beautiful place. And there, the deity of Lord Ranganath is there. And Ranganath ji is lying down. Right? So when you take darshan of Ranganath, and the temple opening is only this much. So you have to walk from here and you get the darshan of Lord Ranganath's feet. Then you come to the center, you get darshan of Lord Ranganath's navel. And then you go to the right side, then you can get darshan of Lord Ranganath's face. And then behind that, Ananta Sesh. So Ramanujacharya, great acharya, great stalwart acharya, used to compose verses like this. He dedicated a lot of his life to worshipping that Ranganath deity and setting standards. Madhvacharya, who is an incarnation of Vayu, Vayudev. Madhvacharya was such a great devotee and a sannyasi that atheists and Mayavadis and all, they used to see his shadow and they used to run away. Madhvacharya put so much time and attention in worshipping the Krishna deity in Udupi. How many of you have been to Udupi? Little more. So, a lot of time and effort to worship that. In fact, in the Madhva Sampradaya, only sannyasis can worship the deity. यहाँ पे तो हम घर पे deity worship करते हैं. Women can worship deities. First initiated grihasthas can worship deities. In Madhva Sampradaya, who can worship deity? Only sannyasis. And who is given sannyas in Madhva Sampradaya? Somebody who is very, very exalted in their spiritual life. Right? So it's progress doesn't mean that you don't worship deity. Progress, in fact, means you worship the deity with more attention. Like we have the example of Srila Madhavendra Puri. Krishna himself came to him and told him that, I am here in this bush and I've been there for a very long time and I want to be worshipped now. So please go and remove me. And then Madhavendra Puri gets the villagers and they remove the deity. Where is this deity now? Nathdwara, Srinathji. So that deity was found at Govardhan. If you come to Vrindavan this year in October, you will get to visit this place. And the Supreme Lord himself told Madhavendra Puri, this is how you should worship me. And he gave the whole standard of how to worship the deity. Who did he give the standard to? Madhavendra Puri, who was a self-realized soul. He didn't tell, hey, tum log sab naye ho na, idhar aao. Aaj kitne log naye hain? Idhar aao. Some people actually raised them. Idhar aao. And ये है मूर्ति पूजा का विधि विधान, अभी करो. एडवांस हो जाएंगे तो किसी नए को दे देना और आगे बढ़ना. He came to the most advanced and he gave the deity form. He said, this is how you should worship me. So it is true that God is everywhere. God is everywhere. God is in fire. That's Krishna's energy. Krishna is everywhere. Those are Krishna's energies. Krishna is here in the form of his deity. And that deity form is what? It is the actual form of the Lord. Yeah. Please pay attention. Some people are drifting off. In the actual form, like how God appeared whenever he appeared to do that Leela. Right? Lord Jagannath, when he came to appear to do that Leela, looks exactly like this. And so the Shastra mentions how the Lord's form has to be carved and how the Lord's form has to be worshipped. And if the worship is done nicely, that is Krishna. Prabhupada said, if you want this to be wood, this is wood. And if you want this to be God, this is God. Means what? That if you think that this is just wood, then Krishna will also reciprocate like that only. He'll leave. Krishna is not obliged to come in a form just on those days where you want to worship. And on those days when you are least bothered, then Krishna will go. Krishna will only come when there is a sincere desire on the part of a devotee to worship. And then Prabhupada says, and then with full Shraddha, with full faith, when you say, yes, this is Lord Jagannath, then the Lord will reciprocate. So sometimes we feel that, अरे पुजारी लोग कितने लकी है, उनको आरती करने मिलता है, वो deity worship कर रहे हैं. But deity worship is not just about doing the arti. Deity or anyone who comes and bows down in front of the Lord. All of you bowed down today when you, at least those who came on time, you got to bow down. Others had to just come and sit. Bowing down in front of the Lord is also deity worship. How many of you came and offered prayers to Lord Jagannath? 3 people, 5 people, 6 people, and 1 child. ऐसे तो आप लोग ने क्या किया, ये अच्छा ड्रेस है, एक फूल से कैसे बनाया, पीछे मस्त बनाया है, अरे इतना सब वो है, वेरी नाइस वेरी नाइस, दैट्स इट. The Lord comes in the deity to accept our worship, right? To accept our worship. And worship doesn't mean just 4, 8, 4, 4, next item, 4, 8, whatever the order is. Worship means also prayers. Deity worship also means prayers. If you have seen a arati very carefully, after the pujari blows the conch, before the pujari blows the conch to end the arati, after the last item is offered, the pujari will go and offer pranams and pray to the deity. And then the arati will conclude with him blowing the conch. So bowing down in front of the Lord is deity worship. Prayers are deity worship. Accepting the Lord's prasad is deity worship. Because this is directly the mercy of the Lord. Right? Lord Jagannath accepts this and says, how? How and what? What happens when you eat this? What will happen when you eat this? You get purified. You will get purified. Not just stomach will get filled, you will get, what will get purified? Intestine. Intestine? No. Consciousness. Consciousness, heart. Consciousness will get purified. So, offering obeisances. It is said, the head is actually a manifestation of our false ego. Keep your head held high. Sir ucha karke jiyo. Keep your head high. And when we see in those movies, when a person is defeated, what do? सिर झुका के खड़े हैं. तो जब भी हम लोग, when we bow down our head in front of the Lord, it's basically, what are we saying? I am defeated by you. I accept that you are the Supreme Lord and I am a nobody. I am defeated by you. Please accept my surrender. Surrender. Within war, somebody surrenders. What is that? That is defeat, no? White flag. Anyone who's feeling sleepy, you can just go out and come back in. White flag is raised, or they get defeated, so they are surrendering. We think that I surrender, matlab, yes, I'm surrendered. I'm surrendered soul. All it means is, Lord, I accept defeat. What defeat? I accept defeat that I am not Ishwar. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ishwaroham, aham bhogi, siddhosmi, balavan sukhi. A soul thinks, Ishwaroham, I am the Lord. Ishwaroham, aham bhogi, I am the enjoyer. Any one of you, any one of us can eat all of this. Even if we wanted to, we will not be able to finish. Let alone to stomach ka hal to baat ki baat hai. We will not even be able to finish it. And what is Jagannath doing? This is probably a very small offering to Lord Jagannath. So, Lord, when we bow down, one of the ways of deity worship, we bow down, right? Our head. Most activities are done because of the mind. Most things are done because of the eyes and the ears. Your survival is there because of the mouth and the nose, right? So this is like the most important aspect of your body, and we bow it down in front of the Lord. Even our forever spiritual life, this is the most important. Shravanam, Kirtanam, without this cannot happen. Without this cannot happen. Someone went to Radhagovind Maharaj in a lecture. After a lecture, he told Maharaj, Maharaj, जब में मन नहीं लगता है. So Maharaj said, मुंह से बोलना है और कान से सुनना है, उसमें मन कहां से बीच में आ गया? You speak and hear, speak and hear. Don't take a long cut. Just go like this. So the head, most important aspect of the body, is bowed down in front of the Lord. So obeisances is one. Then what else is that? Offering. Offering is one. So there's a very nice story about offering. There was once, this is in the British time, in the early 19th century. There was one British general, his name was Rose Peter. So this Rose Peter was a high-ranking official in the British Army, and he was stationed in Madurai. Now, which famous temple is there in Madurai? Meenakshi Temple. How many of you have been to Madurai? थोड़ा बढ़ रहा है. So there, the temp even now, and we had gone a few years back. Even now, the city revolves around the Meenakshi temple. The Meenakshi temple is in the center of the city, and of course, at that time, though, everything was around it. So, but this fellow was a devout Catholic, but he used to hear and he used to see, and he was very respectful also towards Indian culture. So he had gradually some faith started developing in him, but he never went inside the temple. Then one day, one person, just when he was crossing the Meenakshi temple, one person, Pujari, came from outside and just took his hand and put a mound of Mahaprasad on his hand and went. So now this Rose Peter also, by then it had been few years, so he had seen that when these localites get prasad in their hand, what is the first thing they do? They touch it to their head, like respect. Lord, thank you. So he also did the same thing. And he ate that prasad. So more faith started developing in his heart. Then what he used to do is, now this is 19th century, so he had his own horse, which he used to drive from his residence to the British government officers. And in between this, Meenakshi temple used to come. So then what he started doing is, till the temple, he used to ride his horse, get off the horse, take the horse across the temple, and when the temple used to end, again sit on the horse and go. This was a sign of respect, that when I come across the temple, I'll not be on the horse, I'll be low. I'll not be a great person, I'll be humble in front of the goddess. And then he used to go. So goddess Meenakshi was observing all this. One day, a huge storm came in Madurai. There's a true story. A huge storm came in Madurai, and Madurai was literally flooding. So on the door of this Rose Peter, knock. He thought, middle of the night, everything is dark. The electricity and it's pouring outside, it's flooding here. Who's come? Open the door. One very beautiful young girl was there. And she was wearing amazing jewelry. All necklace, pearls, rubies, earrings, this, whatever it's called. There's a specific term for when we put this on Radharani. No. Jewelry आता है यहाँ पे. Whatever. Chandrika. Children are the most smartest. Chandrika. So she was wearing all that and all, and she told him, please come out. He's thinking, he was like in awe of her beauty. So he went out. He went little ahead. He looked behind, and huge sound. Lightning struck his house, and his house burned. And when he looked behind, that girl disappeared. So he understood this was none other than goddess Meenakshi. And so his faith increased even more. So the next day, he finally entered the temple. First time, he entered the temple. And when he took darshan of goddess Meenakshi, it's exactly the same as that girl who came to save him. She literally saved him. So then he told the pujari that, because he recollected that she had everything except slippers. So then he saw the form in the temple also, everything except paduka. So he asked the pujari, you're not putting slippers? He said, no, we cannot put slippers on the Lord. We don't bring slippers in the temple also. So he said, I would like to offer slippers to the Lord. So now they cannot tell him, no, he's the British officer, main person there. They're okay. So he made a slipper, which is, I will read to you exactly how many. The pair of, first of all, made of 24 karat gold. And that slipper has 412 rubies, 72 emeralds, 80 diamonds, and made filled with gold. And those slippers are still there. When you go to Meenakshi temple, you can see there. And they are called padukas offered by Peter, Rose Peter. And so deities are there, those slippers are still there. So how did his faith get developed? That one day when someone gave him prasad, and through that prasad, his faith got developed. So honoring the Lord's prasad is as good as worshipping the Lord. We should not think that deity worship is only what is the pujari is doing. The main reason, the main reason for having not just a deity, even the photograph, like here you have photograph of Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. How many you have photographs on your altar? Radha Rasbihari or anything, Radha Madhav or Radha Sham Sundar, photographs of the temple deity. Actually, Prabhupada wanted all devotees who stay close to the temple to worship the temple deity by coming daily or by coming regularly taking darshan and have photographs of the temple deity at home. When you have photographs of the temple deity, for example, when you have Radha Rasbihari's photo at home and you offer bhoga, you are actually offering it to Radha Rasbihari here. Yeah, Radha Rasbihari here is accepting that bhoga through his photograph. It is a matter of offering worship. Sometimes it becomes a matter of pride. हमारे यहाँ पे DT है, इनके पे DT है, advance work मतलब DT है. So actually, Prabhupada said that we should not worry so much about these aspects, but we should worry about increasing our spiritual substance. Otherwise, even if you have a picture or a DT at home, after a while it will become a burden. And you'll feel, अरे वापस भोग लगाना पड़ेगा, वापस साफ करना पड़ेगा, वापस आरती करना पड़ेगा. So then that defeats the whole purpose. The reason the Lord comes in this form as the deity, again, Prabhupada in one lecture, very nicely he said, people ask why the Lord comes in the form of a deity. Prabhupada is saying that. Prabhupada said, have you read the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita? That person said yes. Prabhupada said, what does it talk about? Krishna's Vishwaroop, Virat Roop. Prabhupada said, yes. If Krishna comes in that form, will you be able to worship him? He said, Prabhupada said, you will not be able to see beyond his toenail. And if Krishna then demands, offer me bhoga, what will you do? All this will be like a fig. Krishna will just... So Krishna knows that we can't do that. So he very kindly comes in a small form. Sometimes devotees go and DT लेना है, change का, उससे बहुत ज़्यादा हम नहीं कर सकते हैं. Change का, आसानी से dressing होगा. So, of course, that's not the right way, but the point is, Krishna agrees to come in a change form. Change form, Krishna agrees to come. But that change form is the object of worship of that devotee. If that form becomes the center of the home, small picture, Radha Rasbihari, in my home we have such a small picture of Radha Rasbihari in the altar. But if that becomes the center of the home, that change DT will ultimately, or photo, will ultimately lead us to cross this whole boundary of material world and go back to the spiritual world. So this is the Lord's potency. Forget change. Lord can come in the size 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair as Paramatma. Bigger than that little. Atma is 1/10,000th part tip of the hair. Paramatma is like size of a thumb something. And Krishna comes within that form. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to say that people who don't have firm faith, then when they worship the deity also, it is more of keeping themselves in the center. I offered this. I worship the Lord like that. Whereas the mood, even if you have a picture at home or you have a deity at home, the mood should be, how can I give Krishna pleasure? What does Jagannath like? What do Gaurmita like? What does Radha Rasbihari like? What does Sitaram Lakshman like? And my worship should be around that. So if Krishna wants me to do Mangal Arati, I will do Mangal Arati. If Krishna wants to be offered bhoga like this, in this way, I should be doing that. Even to a picture. And at least all of us should be having a picture of the Lord at home. You all should. If you don't have, please today we are going to end in 28 minutes. Then it will be 8 o'clock. Because now we have a new trend. We start at 6:30 and we end at 8. And today also, thank you very much. Many of you were here. So if you don't have a picture, please go down to the gift shop and get a frame of Radha, small frame, and direct your worship towards the Lord. So one way of offering worship is by offering bhoga. One way of offering worship is offering obeisances. One way of offering worship is by offering prayers. Prayers. Very easy to do. Just fold your hand and speak something sensible, which does not involve you or something you want. And that's a prayer. Lord, you are great. Allahu Akbar, that whole thing. It's just glorifying the Lord. Lord, you are great. That's a prayer. And knowing firmly that Krishna is hearing me, Jagannath is hearing me, he knows what is going on in each and every one of our hearts and minds right now. Somebody is thinking, पैर दुख रहे हैं. Somebody is thinking, कब खत्म होगा. Somebody is thinking, yeah, very nice, Lord's worship and Lord's form. Somebody is thinking, I'm so fortunate today I'm here, the Lord is here, and such a beautiful arrangement is there. Whatever we are thinking, the Lord is understanding. And whatever prayer I make, Krishna will hear. So there are many, many stories of the Lord reciprocating with the prayers of the devotees. I'll just tell you a couple of them. There was one person, his name was Chinnappa Nair in Andhra. He was a jeweler. And his wife was a great devotee of Lord Vitthal. How many have been to Pandharpur? Goa? Alibag? Pandharpur, unfortunately, I have also not been. But I have not been to Goa also. She was a great devotee of Lord Vitthal. And she used to pray to Lord Vitthal. Please, thoda sukriti de do inko. Thoda sukriti de do. That he accepts you. He starts worshipping you. At least he chants your name. So she used to pray on his behalf every day. Every day she used to pray on his behalf. Please bless him. Please bless him. So one day what happened is, and this person, Chinnappa Naik, not at all interested in God and very, very conjuice, very miser. He would not worship the Lord. He would not give much facility to his wife also to worship the Lord. Still, somehow she used to manage her worship. One day, there was a knock on the door. While this Chinnappa Naik was at work in a shop. Knock at the door. Wife opened. One Brahmana was there. He was asking alms. He was saying, it is my son's Upanayan ceremony. So I am collecting some Lakshmi to conduct the ceremony properly. So she thought, very golden opportunity I have. My husband doesn't allow. I don't just want to give him something. I want to give him something substantial. So that he does the Upanayan very nicely and the Lord is pleased with me. So what do I have? I have a ring given by my husband. She went inside, removed her ring and gave it to the Brahmana. The Brahmana left. She thought, I hope my husband doesn't come to know. This Brahmana, what did he do now? What will he do with the ring? So what will he do? Go and sell it. He went to the shop of this lady's husband, who's a jeweler. Gave it to him. Do you sell? He said, yes. He looked at it and he saw, this is exactly the same ring which I gave my wife. So that time you didn't have, assembly line jewelry. So every piece would be unique. Okay? You got some doubt. Okay, you please wait here or you come back after half an hour. I'll give you. He went home. Knocked the door. Wife opened. He told his wife, show me that ring. And she's like, my God, this is too much. अब इसके पहले कभी पूछा नहीं रिंग के बारे में, आज ही मैंने वो रिंग दान में दिया है. And I after that I prayed, Lord, I hope he doesn't come to know. And within 1 hour he's come back and asked for the ring. She said, okay, ठीक है. And she went inside. What to do? She thought, no point if I tell him, he's going to anyway kill me. Rather than he killing me, I'll only commit suicide. So she thought, I'll drink poison and die. So she opened the bottle of poison. The ring was floating in that. She thought, hey, something transcendental is happening today. This doesn't happen with us. It only happens with pure devotees. With pure devotees, the Lord can do anything. The Lord can talk with them. The Lord can walk with them. The Lord can eat for them. That story is there. That boy, his father used to worship the Lord every day, Gopalji deity. And then one day the father told him, see, today I have to go out and 12 o'clock offering I cannot make. Here are 6 laddus. You offer it to Gopalji and I'll come back. The boy went, offered. Boy had seen the father doing. How do we offer food? What is the process? First, what do? We first we put the food on a plate. What do we put on top of that? Tulsi leaf. Then we put in front of the Lord. Then we chant 3 prayers. Prayers to the spiritual master, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Krishna. How many times we chant? 3 times. And then what do we do? Jaldi le lo. Rice में से जब तक धुआं आ रहा है तब तक ले लो. And then you should wait for 5 to 10 minutes. And during those 5 to 10 minutes, you should, if you are second initiated, you should chant Gayatri. Otherwise, you chant 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And if you are one of those people like me, 16 माला हो गया तो 17 नहीं करना है. So then you should read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, something like that. Or at least play some kirtan. Unfortunately, what happens with devotees at home is, what 10 minutes is a period to do something else. कुछ और करो, ये करो, वो करो. 10 मिनट हो गया, भगवान ने खा लिया. As if Lord is so hungry. He is hungry for devotion. So during the time of the offering also, some devotional activity should go on. So this boy kept the laddu, said all these prayers to the spiritual master, prayers to Lord Chaitanya, prayers to Lord Krishna. And then after a while, laddu was still there. Again, he did the whole thing. He thought, laddu is still there. So then he's interacting with the Lord, saying, please eat. You're not eating. My father will beat me. He'll say, offering nahi kiya, khao. And the Lord ate it. The laddu is gone. Father came and offering kiya? Yes, I did. Where's the laddu? Krishna ate. Yeah, I know Krishna ate. Where's the laddu? Krishna ate. Father thought, this fellow has eaten all 6 laddus. He's just doing mischief. So next day, father told him, again I have to go. And got stretched. And when he saw this, he came running out. And the Lord froze. And he paid obeisance to his son. And he said, you are some great devotee. It doesn't happen with me. You're really having a lot of devotion. So, come back to our story. So, this lady, she removed the ring from the poison, gave it to her husband. Husband saw the ring. Okay, fine. Coincidence. दो बना है. And then went back, gave that ring back to his wife, went back, and that Brahmana was still there. And he told the Brahmana that, okay, I'll sell the ring. Where is I'll sell the ring. which is titled, "What is the use of my offering?" Prayer का title है, मेरे offering का क्या value है? What is the use of my offering? In which he says, Lord, Lord, oh Lord, how can I serve you? I will offer you Ganga water. Offer you Ganga water. So I'll offer you water. And but Lord, you are in no need of water. The goddess Ganges is coming through your lotus feet and purifying everyone. You already have Ganga water. What is my BMC water going to do to you? So, okay, Lord, I will sing for you. But Lord, the Kinnaras and great sages and saints are singing so beautifully for you. My monkey voice, what will I sing for you? Okay, I'll not sing for you. So how should I worship you? I'll offer you a lamb. But Lord, you have only made the sun, which has millions of times more effulgence than the lamb. So what is the use of my lamb? So Lord, I will offer you some wealth. But Lord, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi ji herself, is at your lotus feet. What will my wealth be of any use to you? So Lord, I will offer you a nice bed. But Lord, you are lying down on the best bed, which is Ananta Sesh. So what is the use of my bed? Okay, Lord, I'll offer charmer to you. But you are seated on Garuda. And when Garuda flies with his majestic wings, you get such wonderful breeze. What is the use of my fanning? So like this, his prayer is, what can I offer you? And then he concludes, the only thing I can offer you is my prayers. And that also not my prayers. The only thing I can offer you is prayers which your great devotees have composed. And when I repeat those prayers, you will accept them. So his conclusion is that even to be able to worship you, Lord, I need the help of your devotees. Like his wife was a devotee, and the Lord bestowed his mercy upon him. So actually, that's true. Bhumi Rapa Nala Vayu come. Made by Mano Buddhir Evacha. And then I come in the picture. That's why it's iPhone. Ankar. Bhumi Rapa Nala Vayu come. Gross body. Man Buddhi Ankar. iPhone. iPhone. My phone. iPhone is my phone. Video is not there. Okay. Anyway. So, like this, offering prayers. Offering prayers, the Lord hears those prayers. There was once a disciple of there was a couple once. And husband, he borrowed from money lender. Someone's phone has. Yeah. If you're sitting in my class, you don't need to be on Zoom. So he borrowed money from money lender, pay within such a time. He didn't pay. Money lender came once at home. He had instructed his wife. वो आया तो क्या बोलेगा घर पे नहीं घर पे नहीं. So after 2 days he came. What did the wife say? घर पे नहीं. This happened 3 or 4 times. The bench was there. We sat. After he decided, first he stood for some time. तो टाइम लग रहा है बैठ जाता. And then after a while it became evening. He lied down on the bench. So then Yamuna told his disciple, you understood? And you understood? Pandit. So he decided that no. Maharaj, not so you please. I am not so intelligent. So, and then he says, the more merciful the deity form, the position changes. So Ranganath in Srirangam is waiting for a very, very long time. ये लोग कब आएंगे? खाली 5 लोग आए हैं श्रीरंगम. ये लोग कब आए? Waiting, lying down and waiting. So, offering the Lord, the deity is there for this one thing. What can we offer to the Lord? It's not just enough to observe the beauty of the Lord. It is what can we offer the Lord every day? What can we offer? Not just food, our consciousness, our attention, our prayers. What all can we offer to the Lord? That is why the Lord has come as the deity, or the photograph of the deity in your home. It's there to remind us I have given you whatever you have. Don't forget that. Not just, oh, your deities are so beautiful. Uh, So offer your worship. Offer worship to the Lord. Radha is very so beautiful. No. When we come and we offer obeisances, it's surrender. Lord, I accept defeat. You have defeated me. I accept you are the master and I'm supposed to serve you. And then we offer something. If you don't have anything, offer prayers. We offer prayers to the Lord. So I will tell you one more story and then we can maybe two more stories. We have 6 minutes. How many of you have been to Jaipur? More hands are raised. So in Jaipur, we have the Govindji deity, right? Radha Govindji. Who's originally who worshipped them? Rup Goswami, Srila Rup Goswami. They are the deities of Srila Rup Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when the and the king of Rajasthan, he fell in love with the Govindji deity. So every day, half of his day, making sure that the worship of Govindji is proper. He used to personally supervise. He had priests and everything. He used to personally see Govindji's dress, his bhog is offered, Bal bhog is offered, Raj bhog is offered, Vikaliya bhog is offered, Sya bhog is offered, everything is offered. Use first class ingredients, everything. The priest of the king was from the Ramanandi Sampradaya, the worshippers of Sita Ram. So the priest is thinking, are together. They are not married. You should not keep them together. Keep them on separate altars. And then he said, what is Gaudiya Sampradaya? ये कौन सा संप्रदाय? चार मेन संप्रदाय है उसके अंदर ये रामानंदी संप्रदाय. What is this Gaudiya Sampradaya? It's not bona fide. The king got this doubt. So created two separate rooms. One in one Krishna, one Radha. So this came to the notice of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is the one whose commentary of Bhagavatam Prabhupada used when he wrote his commentaries. Great Acharya. So he was 95 years old at that time. So he directed his disciple, Baldev Vidyabhushan. He said, you go and you defeat these arguments of this Ramanandi Sampradaya priest. Spend them. And first he established how in Shastra the marriage ceremony of Radha and Krishna is described. And so he showed Brahmaji himself came. Which is that place in Vrindavan? Bhandirvan. How many of you have been to Bhandirvan? Over there and everyone dances. Available this year, 20th October to 29th October. Please come. So Baldev Vidyabhushan goes and explains through Shastric Praman that Radha and Krishna married. Okay, same altar पे लेके आओ. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes later, nobody can separate Radha and Krishna. This was the Man Leela of Radharani. She got a little angry with Krishna and so she gave some intelligence to this priest to do this so that she wanted to spend some days away from Krishna and then they got together. Now, the second question is that, hey Gaudiya, please mobile phone bag. So second question, this Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not bona fide. So then the priest said, Baldev Vidyabhushan said, the Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has come in this sampradaya. He started this sampradaya. No, we want a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Huge text and it's a commentary. So then Baldev Vidyabhushan told him that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra. This fellow said, no, we don't know all that. You have to bring a commentary and you have 1 month's time. 1 month's time to bring a commentary. It's like telling somebody of first standard, it was 8 months and 10 standard pass karne ke liye. What is that? It's that impossible. So Baldev Vidyabhushan went out and thought, 1 महीने में तो I can't even read the entire, and Baldev Vidyabhushan is a great acharya. 1 महीने में it's not even possible to read the entire Vedanta Sutra in Sanskrit, what to write, commentaries on it. So he was in this dilemma. Now, whenever a great devotee is in a dilemma, what do? So where do you think he went? Straight to Radha Govindji temple. To establish you only all this is going on. So you give me a solution. You give me a solution. Krishna, you give. He didn't think of anything else. He took no tension. ये करना है, ये क्यों करना है? Proof करने के लिए राधा कृष्णा का worship is topmost. So it's between Radha and Krishna and this fellow. So let me take my problem also to Radha and Krishna only. Went to Radha Govindji and prayed. Pray sincerely. Please offer me a solution. And Krishna spoke. Krishna said, go to your room. No, 1 month के बाद फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड वाले को 10th का एग्जाम पास कराया एंड यू से इन्विजिलेटर ने हमको पेपर दिया था. एक्सेप्ट दिया ही होगा बाबा, कैसे पास हुआ नहीं तो, राइट? समवन यू टेक योर 6-year-old और वो 6-year-old आपका 10th स्टैंडर्ड का एग्जाम पास करता है एंड यू टेल देम इन्विजिलेटर ने पेपर दिया. It was like that. Because you don't understand what is Vedanta Sutra and what is a Bhashya on Vedanta Sutra, therefore you're not able to appreciate. I hope you appreciate this example of mine. So they agreed. Localites who come and worship. So the point here is that the pure devotees have firm faith that Krishna listens to prayers. Now, whether you answer it or not, that is to Krishna, but he hears the prayers. He is aware that you have this problem, or that you have this dilemma, or that you want this thing, or these are your difficulties in spiritual life. Krishna is aware when he can hear. And this is also worshipping the deity, offering prayers. So we must all offer prayers and not, that what the Guru says. daughter's hand in marriage to me. I don't care about that marriage, but I want to prove that you are the witness. So you please come to Katra. And Sakshi Gopal was in Vrindavan. Come and become Sakshi. So Gopalji speaks that have you ever heard of a deity walking? Brahmana devotees, devotees are very intelligent. Without missing a heartbeat, he said, Lord, have you ever heard of a deity walking? You can talk, you can walk also, please come. And Gopalji smiled bigger. He said, yes, you have defeated me. I will come to you. So Lord can do anything. We should not expect. And then what we'll post on Instagram, on WhatsApp, "Ye ho gaya, wo gaya." That thing was there when I was in school. Ganpati is drinking milk in Juhu Beach. WhatsApp नहीं था, नहीं तो और रेज होता उसका. So our mood should be Krishna has agreed to take this form simply to accept my worship. And therefore, I should worship. And worship just doesn't mean offering arti. Worship means offering prayers. Worship means offering yoga. Worship means offering obeisances. Worship means basically offering attention to Krishna. Offering our attention and consciousness to Krishna. And Prabhupada promised Radha Bihari, I will build a temple for you. We are just enjoying. We are enjoying the temple. Prabhupada promised and his disciples worked hard. Enjoying. You think Radha is not there? So Radha Bihari is reciprocating. We must offer our reciprocation. Get up early in the morning, take a bath, at home, on the picture, and stand in front of the Lord. This way we reciprocate to the Lord. Okay? Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ki. Anyone else is remaining to make an offering? Everyone has done. Anyone else has brought bhoga you want to offer now? If I have, now is the time to do. His Grace Krishna Premanand Prabhu will lead Kirtan for 5-10 minutes for Lord Jagannath.